Hi, I am Mary, and I am here to tell you a story that happened at a party, and trust me, you will not believe what unfolded. We were all having fun, joking around, making fun of my husband just like usual, but then everything took a wild turn that ended with him standing up in front of everyone and ending our marriage right there. And then you clicked on this video because something unexpected happened, and you want to know what it was, so stay with me until the end, because this story is full of surprises and twists you will never see coming. Before we dive in, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and like this video. It really helps the channel, and I promise you will not regret sticking around for what comes next. Now imagine a party filled with laughter, drinks, and the kind of friends who have known you forever. Everyone was there, and we were all teasing my husband in a way that seemed harmless at first, but little did we know that night would change everything forever. You might be wondering why a simple joke would lead to a marriage ending right there. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to explain in detail in this story. But before that, let me ask you, have you ever been at a party where a joke went too far and you wished you could take it back? I want you to think about that as I tell you what happened to us. So sit tight, because what started as a fun night turned into one of the most unforgettable and shocking moments of my life, and possibly yours too. And remember, your comments matter. So share your thoughts and stories as we go through this together, because sometimes the things that seem small are the ones that change everything. That night started like any other, with my husband and me arriving at a friend's house where a small group had gathered to celebrate a birthday. The mood was light, and the room filled with familiar faces, people we had known for years. The music was playing, laughter filled the air, and everyone seemed ready for a good time. I felt comfortable, confident, and happy to be there with my husband and our friends. But as the night went on, something started to shift. What seemed like harmless teasing at first began to feel different. There were glances exchanged and whispers that I didn't catch at first, but they were there, lurking beneath the surface. I could see my husband smiling, but there was a tightness in his jaw that told me something was off. It wasn't just playful jokes anymore. There was something deeper brewing that none of us could see clearly. Yet I want you to understand this setting, because it was the perfect storm for what was about to explode. Later, I learned that some of those friends had been quietly frustrated with my husband for a while, but no one talked about it openly, so all of that tension found its way into the jokes, and me being part of the group, I joined in the teasing without realizing the weight of what was really going on. It was easy to laugh and point fingers when you're caught up in the moment, but sometimes those moments hide cracks in relationships that are about to break. The night was supposed to be a celebration, but it was turning into something far more complicated than anyone imagined. Even I started to feel uneasy, but I couldn't put my finger on why. It was like walking on thin ice, and no one wanted to admit it. We didn't know the secret message he had just received on his phone, a message that would change everything and push him to his breaking point. So keep watching, because the story is just starting to get interesting, and you will want to hear how it all unfolds and what that message said. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. The teasing at the party was getting heavier, and it was no longer just light jokes. It was starting to hit places that hurt. My husband was the target of almost every comment, every joke, and every sarcastic laugh. At first, I thought it was harmless, but as I watched him, I could see his smile fading and his eyes growing darker. Even joined in thinking it was all in good fun, but inside, I was starting to feel a knot in my stomach. The people around us kept pushing the jokes further, making fun of things from his past mistakes to his personality quirks. Things that should have stayed private were now being shouted out loud in front of everyone. The worst part was that some of the jokes touched on things I had no idea about, and that made me question how little I really knew about what was going on in his life. And then came the moment when a close friend made a joke about something that happened years ago, something that he clearly didn't want to be reminded of. Everyone laughed, but his expression changed completely. He looked like a man pushed to the edge, but no one noticed except me. I wanted to stop it, but the party kept going on, and no one was paying attention to his pain. What I didn't know at that moment was that while everyone was laughing, he had just received a message on his phone, a message that made everything worse. This message was like the last piece that made all his frustrations explode. Later, he told me it was something he had been holding inside for a long time, something that no joke could fix or make better. I realized that the teasing was not just about jokes, but about buried resentments and feelings that had never been spoken out loud. It was a ticking time bomb, and no one saw the warning signs. But the night was far from over, and things were about to get much worse. If you are curious about what was in that message and how it changed everything, keep watching, because the story is just getting started, and the next part will blow your mind. As the night went on, the teasing that once felt like harmless fun started to cut deeper. My husband's patience was wearing thin, and the atmosphere was charged with an energy no one could ignore. The jokes became sharper and more personal, targeting not just his past, but his character, his choices, and even things he thought were long buried. We were all caught up in the moment, laughing and pointing fingers, but I could see him shrinking inside like a storm building quietly just beneath the surface. I tried to warn people to ease up, but the momentum had taken over, and the group was relentless. Then something happened that no one expected. The message he received on his phone earlier that night was still heavy on his mind. It wasn't just any message, it was something that exposed a secret about our marriage, a secret I had no idea about, and a secret that explained so much about the tension between us. It was like he was carrying a weight that none of us saw, and that message pushed him to a breaking point. That secret revealed that there was more going on behind closed doors, more pain and frustration than I ever imagined. Suddenly, the jokes that felt so trivial became unbearable, and the laughter in the room turned into something tense and uncomfortable. But what made it worse was that the person behind some of the harshest jokes wasn't just a random friend, it was someone I trusted, someone who had been planting seeds of doubt and resentment for a long time without me knowing. That revelation hit me hard because it meant the party wasn't just a moment of fun, it was a stage for hidden conflicts and betrayals. The way my husband started to withdraw, his smile faded completely, and his eyes told a story of someone who felt trapped and unseen. The party guests didn't notice the shift, but I did, and it scared me because I realized the night was about to end in a way no one was prepared for. I kept asking myself how we let things get this far, how teasing turned into tearing down, and why no one saw the cracks before it was too late. The tension was unbearable, and the silence between jokes became louder than the laughter. As the clock ticked closer to the moment he stood up, everyone held their breath because something was about to happen that would change everything forever. Then it happened. My husband suddenly stood up from his seat, and the entire room went silent. Everyone was caught off guard because no one expected him to react like that. He grabbed the microphone and looked around with a calm but serious expression. Everyone was waiting to see what he would say, but no one could have predicted what came next. He started by addressing the group, explaining that the jokes and teasing had been hurtful more than anyone realized. But then he dropped a bombshell. He revealed secrets about some of the people, their secrets that no one wanted to talk about, but that everyone knew deep down. His words cut through the room like a knife, exposing hidden truths and shaking the very foundation of that gathering. It was as if the party transformed into a courtroom, and he was the judge, laying out facts that no one could deny. Then came a shocker. He told us things about our marriage, things I never imagined he would say in public, things that made me question everything I thought I knew about our relationship. It was painful and honest and raw, and right there in front of everyone he said those words that no one expected. This marriage is over. The silence that followed was deafening. No one knew how to react. Some were shocked, others angry, and some just confused. But what shocked me the most was how relieved he looked, like a burden had been lifted from his shoulders. That moment changed everything, and it was clear nothing would ever be the same again. But the biggest surprise was yet to come, because after he left the room, I discovered who had been behind the cruel jokes and why it was all a setup, a betrayal that hurt deeper than the teasing itself. This revelation turned the story on its head and showed me how much was hidden beneath the surface. I promise you the next chapter will reveal the climax of this story, the moment where emotions exploded and decisions were made that changed lives forever. Stay with me, because this story is far from over. The moment my husband stood up and declared our marriage over was unlike anything I had ever experienced. The room fell into a heavy silence, broken only by his calm but firm voice explaining why he made that decision. He spoke of years of hidden pain, unspoken words, and frustrations that had built up inside him like a storm ready to burst. He described how the jokes that night were not just jokes, but a painful reminder of everything that had been ignored and swept under the rug. The truth he revealed was raw and honest, and it cut through all the laughter and chatter, leaving nothing but truth exposed. Everyone was stunned. Some could hardly believe what they were hearing, but his words were clear and impossible to ignore. As he laid out the reasons for ending our marriage, he also exposed the cracks in our relationship that I had refused to see. The trust broken, the disappointments piled up, and the distance growing between us, all laid bare in front of our friends and family. I felt a mix of shock, sadness, and a strange sense of relief, because finally things were out in the open. No more pretending, no more hiding from reality. But then came the biggest shock of all. I found out who was really behind the jokes, the person who had been secretly planting seeds of doubt and resentment, not just among the guests, but between me and my husband too. It was someone I trusted deeply, and the betrayal cut deeper than any joke ever could. This revelation changed the entire story. It was no longer just about a marriage ending, but about trust being shattered and a web of lies being uncovered. The climax of that night was not just his declaration, but the painful unveiling of truths that had been kept in the dark for too long. It was a turning point for me and for everyone there, forcing us all to confront realities we had avoided for years. As the night ended and the guests slowly left, I was left with a whirlwind of emotions, confusion, and questions about what the future held. But I knew one Think for sure this was a night that would change my life forever. If you want to hear how it all resolved and what lessons I learned from this experience, stay tuned for the next and final chapter of the story, because the ending is just as surprising and important as everything that came before. After that night, nothing was the same anymore. The party that started as a celebration became a turning point in my life, and in my marriage, the shock of hearing my husband end things so suddenly in front of everyone was overwhelming. But what surprised me even more was what came after, when I discovered who was really behind the harsh jokes. The person who had been stirring up trouble and betrayal. Everything made sense in a painful way. It was someone I had trusted, someone close enough to know our secrets and use them against us. This revelation broke my heart, but also opened my eyes to the reality I had been avoiding. For the first time, I had to face the truth about the people around me and the state of my own relationship. The night taught me that sometimes the people who seem closest can hurt us the most, and that laughter can hide deeper pain. I had a choice to make, whether to fight for what was left or to let go and start over. It was not an easy decision, but it was necessary, because life does not stop for pain, and healing comes with time. I wanted to share this story with you to remind you that behind every joke and every smile there might be struggles you don't see, and that it's important to pay attention to the signs around you. Also remember that respect and honesty are the foundation of any relationship, and ignoring problems will only make them worse. I hope this story made you think about your own life and relationships. If you ever find yourself in a situation like mine, please know that you are not alone, and there is always a way forward. Thanks for staying with me until the end. If you like this story, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts and experiences. I would love to hear from you. Also, there is a new video appearing on your screen right now that I think you will really enjoy, so don't miss it. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time. Thank you so much for watching this story all the way to the end. It means a lot to me. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because it really helps me create more stories like this. Also, I want to invite you to comment below and share your own thoughts or experiences, because your voice matters, and I love reading what you have to say. Right now, there is a new video appearing on your screen that I am sure you will enjoy, so don't miss out and click on it to keep watching. Thanks again for being here with me, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Take care and see you soon.